So, LaVar, you're making mention of Philadelphia. The Eagles it's like a little problematic now. Like there just seems like there's a lot going on there. They're struggling. They've lost 3 in a row. You've got Jalen Hurts talking afterwards about commitment issues. You've got Jason Kelsey getting called for penalties. It just feels like it's a far cry from the team that we saw. They're moving defensive coordinators up to the booth. They've got Matt Patricia calling plays. They give up a 10-play, 92-yard drive on Monday night in a minute 20 to lose the game to Seattle. Like, there's a lot going on there. Well, they're back on Monday Night Football this upcoming week. And A.J. Brown, their stud wide receiver, is not a fan. In fact, he would like to do away with the tradition known as Monday Night Football, which has been in the league since 1970. Here was the Eagles wide receiver.
It's a short week, and then right after the game, you only have a certain amount of time just to see a body to recover. And it speeds up the process, and that adds on wear and tear with practice and more stuff. So it gets difficult. The Monday night games, I think they should take it out. I know it's cool, everybody watching you on Monday night, but the turnaround after that is a lot difficult, especially if you leave the game a little banged up.
So that was according to A.J. Brown speaking with DraftKings about his thoughts on Monday Night Football.
It is a little difficult, but it's a part of your profession. Everything isn't going to be easy in your profession. Everything isn't how you want it to exactly be in your profession. That's just how life works. So while there's truth and validity to what he's saying, nonetheless, you still got to figure out a way to get your body ready and yourself ready to go mentally, emotionally, preparation for the game-wise, from schematics. You got to be ready to go. That's what makes you a pro. That's what sets you apart, is being able to do the things that other people wouldn't be willing to try to do, or in most cases can't do. Just is what it is. So gut it up and gear up.
Do you feel like Monday Night Football has the same allure, if you will?
It's been secondary to Sunday Night Football in my mind for years.
Right? Like, I feel like it's been, honestly, at least 2 decades. Like, I feel like it's been playing second fiddle to Sunday night. And honestly, with Thursday Night Football being implemented in the schedule, it just feels like an afterthought sometimes. And look, I know Disney has done a great job in trying to find a way of promoting it more, having the Manning cast, which I find entertaining. I like watching Peyton and Eli. But honestly, like, it's just, and I love Troy and Joe. It's just, it feels like it's a long week, man. Like, it's a lot for you to digest in that football. So I go back and forth because I've been a big advocate for saying put more games in primetime throughout the course of the week. But that's more because we've got so many games now. We're probably going to have 18 games in the regular season at some point. But it'd be nice to at least have them like spread out in individual windows if you could. If you feel like you're a fan of Monday Night Football. I don't feel like it has the same prestige as it used to. Where when that theme song came on and you like heard it like
dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Frank Gifford doing the intros
dun,
on
dun,
Monday
dun,
Night Football,
dun,
and then
dun,
the helmets collide.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, you want to bring back Monday Night Football? It's a pretty easy fix. Make the helmets collide in the intro.
Bring the old song back.
That's all you need.
Bring the old song back. Yeah. Helmets collide. That's it.
Although I will say, Sunday Night Football song stinks.
Oh, it's brutal.
Yeah,
it's brutal.
Hey, how you on Sunday night? Like, what? Come on, man. Change that song.
Maybe that's why they're bringing Taylor Swift around. They're trying to butter her up to get her to do one of these intros. Maybe that's what it is. Could be a play
very
by
commercialized.
The NFL.
Like, the NFL just seems very, very, very commercialized anymore.
Like, that's actually one of the things that I think turns me off the most to it. Is like when you go to a game, I think one of the things the game atmosphere lacks, it's like you're just trying to be sold something every second. Like, you literally feel like you're walking into a marketplace and it's just this, and that. It's like
a theme park.
Yeah, can I just go watch a game? Yeah, can I just go take my kids and let them enjoy the game and not have to pay, a small fortune to do it? Like I think that's where the NFL is like kind of missing the long run here. But that's just me. I don't know. Maybe people feel differently about it.
The Monday, I will say this about Troy Aikman and Joe Buck. They have added an element. Like, there is a big game feel when they're calling games, and it's not a slight to anybody else. So that has been an addition to Monday Night Football that I think has brought something back to it. But I'm with you. I've always felt like Sunday Night Football for years has been the game of the week.
To me, though, it's not like just Sunday night. And obviously their ability to flex schedule, which helps them have a better game. And obviously Disney has pushed for that too for Monday night. To me, it's just when the week really starts on Thursday night, it has a longer feel to it. And in a primetime spot, to me, it just takes away from the feel of primetime when you've got 3 games and you're on the back end of that. And especially if it's not a very compelling matchup to watch, regardless of the broadcasting side of it. It feels like, oh yeah, and then there's Monday Night Football. Like almost like an afterthought now. And I do feel like that's changed over the course of at least the last 10, 15 years, where it felt a little different before then. And look, Thursday Night Football was around then. It was kind of just beginning though. It just didn't feel quite the same. Now I feel like it's actually, some of the matchups we get and games we get are taking away from then, whatever that Monday Night Football matchup is to close out the week.
What is the week like post Monday night for players, like practice schedule and all that? What do you guys remember from it? Like, is it like, when are you back with the team and already looking ahead to the next week?
You're off the next day, but you're not off the next day because you got a short week. So you really don't really catch up on that.
Yeah.
And so what happens usually is, you're quote unquote off, but everyone comes in, you're going to watch the game film, you're going to get your rehab stuff, get your lift in, start preparing for the next week's opponent. It's more of a bind for the coaches from game planning standpoint. And then you're trying to get the install for Wednesday. So, Wednesday you'll probably come into the team meeting, clean up some stuff, but you're pretty much moving on. And so that's the tough part is a lot of times, when you get into that shortened week schedule, what hurts a team, in my opinion, the most is not going back over the mistakes, fixing them so you're not repeating them later on, or understanding what the issue was if you lost, or what some of the issues were that could cause you to lose in the future, and then having the ability to fix them, or at least identifying them to fix them.
I never felt like I was truly impacted by playing on Monday, other than the fact that you did have to come in on Tuesday. And I went in on Tuesdays anyway, but to have to work on Tuesday. But with that being said, the week before you have a little bit of extra time. Like that's how I look at it. I mean, if you're playing the week before, it's kind of like you got that extra Sunday heading into. Well, how am I trying to say this? I'm trying to put this all together. But the week before, it to me was more important than the week after. Like after the game was, it is what it is, because you have a short week again after a Monday Night Football game, right? Like it's a longer week, if that's what I was trying to say. So it's a longer week when you're playing on Monday night because you're not playing on Sunday.
From a rhythm standpoint, wouldn't you rather just play every Sunday, just so you're just used to that? Like that's what
I mean, I like primetime games.
So
the one thing, the one thing about it is that whether it holds the cachet or is number 2 or 3, to number 1 in ranking of popularity, it's still a primetime game unless you're doing a double barrel game, as you would say.
You mean double barrel action?
Yeah, double barrel action. Yeah. It's you're the only game that people are watching. Like a lot of people build their stardom off of having big games in primetime spots. Like whether that's the most popular one or not, if you go out there and you have a big game against a really, really good quarterback or a really good team, if you're a good quarterback, you have a really good game, it can really get people talking about you. At least historically, that's how it's worked. So
I just wonder at what point are we going to start seeing all those different days of the weeks getting gobbled up by the NFL?
There's only 3 left, right? What is it? Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's only three days.
I hope they don't touch Friday. Tuesday, Wednesday, that's perfectly fine in my mind. I mean, it really comes down to the linear TV networks. because those are the networks that obviously have shows and everything else for. And if I could glean just a little insight into what is happening in the cable linear television space, if you're looking at really what makes sense for the books, meaning you're like is getting you an ROI, it's live events, it's news, and it's live sporting events. Those deals that are appointment television, that's the only thing you can really consider appointment television. No disrespect to any shows out there, but we consume sitcoms and shows when we want, more on demand. And so if you could maximize a product or your advertising dollars by putting them in prime time on a Tuesday, Wednesday, wouldn't that make more sense? I think it would, at least in my mind.
Yeah.
And I think it's better for fantasy. I think it's better for gambling. I think it's better for it's better for the player safety in the game, to be able to spread it out this way. It gives the NFL schedule makers more flexibility. So all those things I think are positives for the NFL. If they could just get over this stigma of, hey, it's a Tuesday and Wednesday, but we're going to have a game. Well, dude, if you go to 18 games, and I don't even care if they add in another bye week, which I don't think that would be the case just because of how they'd extend it, you'd have to start thinking about ways that you can get back days. So, to the earlier point of talking about, A.J. Brown not liking Monday Night Football because of the short week that ensues, well, then figure out a way of giving these guys back more rest and doing that by bumping some of these games another day during the week and figuring it out that way because they do have some flexibility. We saw it during COVID. I don't know why they don't want to exercise that, and I think the TV networks may be on board for it as cord cutting continues and they're looking for ways to, save money. I mean, obviously these rights are expensive, but you want to maximize those rights too. And I think that's one way of doing them instead of maybe dumping more money into a show that isn't going to rate close to what an NFL game would do in prime time.
So you talked about the Friday night games. Peter King had a report earlier this week that the NFL is considering playing, first of all, the Brazil game, they're thinking about playing in week 1, which travel-wise would probably make sense. You would give those teams more time to get out there. But they also said that kickoff weekend is early this year from September 5th to the 9th, and because Labor Day is September 2nd, the restrictions on interfering with Friday night high school games and Saturday college games don't take effect until the second weekend of September. So if the NFL wanted to, they could throw some games in on a Friday and a Saturday night to open up the season this next year.
That's not true.
You're
telling me college football doesn't start the first week of September?
That's what he says, that there's
Are
restriction.
you telling me college football doesn't start off the first week of September?
Listen, I agree with you, but this is Peter King. He's just simply reporting that the NFL could, if they wanted to, flex their muscles because of the restrictions. I mean, how I feel about week 0. Okay, I'm not going to let week 0 get disrespected any more than it already is. All right, because I got to watch Hawaii take on 7-11 State. Okay, in late August, or go to a game in Dublin to see Florida State play. Like, there's a lot going on there. So, again, I'm with you.
Did you say 7-11 State?
Yeah, whoever they're playing. Wow. It's week 0.
It's disrespectful to Hawaii.
Did you say 7-11
Whatever.
It's disrespectful, man.